correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast, everyone. Hope you've been doing well. Robert, Nick, I missed the two of you last episode.
Yes, but you weren't alone. You had a crossover. We had a crossover episode.
Yes, we had a crossover episode. Lauren and I had a good time talking about expectations from adapted materials to RPGs.
And that's always good to hear. It's sad that Nick and I weren't there, but glad you weren't alone. And I saw it. You had a great discussion with Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yep. Had an awesome conversation. It was great. It was
Some
great.
Great expectations were had.
I see what you did there, Mr. Dickens.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned this a while ago, but I didn't realize it was already going. And by the time this drops, I think it'll be done. But I had mentioned to our player who runs our Mutants and Masterminds game that Green Ronin was launching the Kickstarter for the 4th edition of Mutants and Masterminds. It's almost done.
I would definitely believe it.
A couple of days ago, it was 8 days left. So I am debating whether or not to dive in on it. I might at the last minute because I'm enjoying it as a player. I'm sitting here debating if I do dive in on it, do I want to just get the player's guide or the bundle of the player's guide and the GM screen?
Now remember what you said. You know what happens when you get the guide, the GM handbook. You start getting everything.
Well, it's just a GM screen. And so the thing is, GM screens don't always fall into that same gotta have everything category unless it has supplemental material with it. And I don't see myself running Mutants and Masterminds.
Yeah, I'll admit I don't see it either. That's definitely his baby, and I know he's going to get it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like having a copy of the player's guide at least of games that I play, so that in downtime I can flip through and look at stuff if I want to. If I'm thinking of ways to advance my character or whatever, I can look at stuff in downtime. So I'm debating it. It's like a $30 difference between the two bundles. And so I'll probably just go for the player's guide if I get it. Because like I say, I don't see myself running Mutants and Masterminds. If I run a superhero game, I'll probably run Marvel Multiverse for us. Finally.
Yes, you will.
or I'll dust off my old DC Heroes and run it for us.
Cool.
But what have the two of you been up to? Because I've just been working.
Yeah, I've been working. Though I did have some time Wednesday to go vote in the primaries down here, at least for my party. So
right
for all our viewers, if you haven't, voting is your right. So go do it.
Exactly.
Don't just ignore it like some people do. But yeah, other than that,
you, Nick. Oh, sorry, you weren't done. Sorry.
Yeah, just other than that, dental appointment. But yeah, after that, it was just work and getting stuff done.
How about you, Nick?
My internet was down yesterday, so I was
Travesty.
So it took I had to do some stuff to get it back up for today. I wasn't even sure if we're going to have it up today.
And so you were left alone with the voices in your head.
No, with all the books that he has, he can drown it out with reading everything from
That's
D&D to Cyberpunk to Aliens to My Little Pony to Power Rangers, and
That's
I'm not even halfway
what I
done.
did. I just read until like someone could get out here. It was like I did everything that I could. It's like, well, we couldn't figure out what's wrong, so here's a new router, and we'll see if it actually works itself out.
New router, so there's a new password?
Nope. Got it all changed over to the same stuff.
Good deal. Good deal.
But they're basically like, that's not the problem. There's nothing wrong. We can see outside your house. There's nothing wrong on our end. There just seems to be an outage in your area that's inconsistent that we can't figure out. But here's a new router anyways.
Usually they text you if there's an outage in your area.
I know, but like, that's the weird part. I got the text about the outage this morning. Hours after it's been resolved.
And of course, I mean, Nick wasn't really alone, because I'm sure that there was someone or something that could keep him company.
Squirrel!
Did you look away, Nick?
Squirrel!
No, there's no squirrels in this home.
Well, they did leave you a Valentine's Day card with your favorite subject, math.
Yes, they did.
Yes, and that's true. That's true.
I saw it. It said, "To man from squirrel."
With all the warm love that math can give.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that it can because Nick has the t-shirt that says, "Spread math love."
Yes, we have pictures.
Wait, we can't bully him yet.
It's too early.
You're right. No. we can't single him out. We have someone else to single out right now.
Yes, we do. And having been declared an official Steve, it behooves me to talk about the Me and Steve Talk RPGs podcast.
Uh-huh.
So if you love smart RPG talk with heart, hustle, and a little bit of we've actually run this at the table, go check out Me and Steve Talk RPGs.
Yes, and congratulations on your honorary membership.
Yes.
It's definitely a good podcast. It's very thoughtful, practical, and full of the kind of GM and player insights you can use in your very next session. Great conversations, zero gatekeeping, just genuine love of this hobby.
Whether you're a GM or a player, their insights, laughs, and real table stories make every episode a blast. We love what they do, and we know you will too.
Yes.
Yep. So check out Me and Steve Talk RPGs wherever you get your podcast.
Squirrel!
Now, as for us,
Yes.
we've been talking about getting this topic on the show for a couple of months now.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have.
Anyone who's been listening for a while knows that last year, Nick and I were beyond excited for delivery of the Evolved edition of the Alien role-playing game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and one of you got it earlier than the other, much to his chagrin.
Yes.
And much to our surprise as well.
Yeah, there were no shipping notifications.
And based on what I tracked on the Reddit and on the Discord, is like there was no rhyme or reason. People were getting it on one half of the country, then in the middle of the country, then not getting it.
Yes, but like an alien embryo, you never know when they're going to sprout out.
That's right. I'm wondering if, let's see, I think the next... So I have at least 2 that should be coming from Free League in the future. A Blade Runner RPG expansion that thing has been hitting production snag after production snag.
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
It seems to be close to shipping at this point. And then also there will be the Invincible RPG. There's another superhero RPG that I'll be running at some point.
This one have a different atmosphere.
Just a little different tone.
I hope you like a little different. I hope you like red, the color red.
Yes. We finally got the Alien Evolved Edition RPG, and we got it on the table around the holidays finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did.
And we finally got to experience the differences. So we know that we've got our episode on the first edition Alien RPG. Free League doesn't like to call this a second edition.
And there was a rather behind the scenes fun, or however you want to call it, was a bit of a hobby drama moment
Yeah,
when people were talking about it.
I think that's because they didn't feel like they did enough to make it a second edition, just more like tweak the original.
Yeah, I mean,
What the fans commented on.
well, meanwhile, I would say they did as much or more than Modifius did in transitioning Star Trek Adventures from first edition to second edition. He
Yeah,
called it a second edition.
I'd say there's not
But
enough to. I would argue like there's definitely been bigger changes edition wise in history. This one I probably would put on like definitely a 1.5.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair.
and so we wanted to take some time and talk about the changes and our impressions of the Evolved Edition as a whole and some of the specific uh, elements of it that we've played. In particular, I have some thoughts on their transition of the Hope's Last Day one shot from first edition to Evolved Edition.
As well, I have the same some, and also of their evolved edition ships with the new core rulebook, as well as two pre-made adventures and an additional miniature set.
Well, that ships if you bought everything in the Kickstarter. But those are the things that you can go out and buy right now. I've seen
They're
them
all
all.
available.
Yes, I've seen them all in stores. In fact, one of the stores near us has all of those individual pieces. He keeps forgetting that I told him that I backed the Kickstarter, so I have all of these. Because when I was in there a couple of weeks ago, he's like, "I've got the Evolved Edition book, I've got Rapture Protocol, and I've got." And I was like, "Yeah, I backed the Kickstarter. I've got all that."
Can never hurt to have an extra.
But he also has one full additional Kickstarter set that he is selling as a bundle.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
he's got all of the individual stuff. Then he has one of everything that he had two or three the first time I was in there after it delivered, and he has one left that he is selling as a bundle.
Again, depending on what it's selling, but that's a good price to
Yeah.
get into it.
Where do we want to start? What's the first thing that we want to talk about in the changes? I guess the biggest one is the change to the panic system
Yes,
from
because
It
they
first
is
split
edition.
it into two.
it is largely it's one of the largest changes, and just another thing in going into the design philosophy that Free League went into this. A lot of it did come from fan feedback.
When I first read about some of the changes, now this is also interesting for us to talk about a little bit in the whole evolution, pun partially intended, of Evolved Edition. Because after the Kickstarter finished, those of us who backed the Kickstarter were given near immediate access to the alpha version of the Evolved Edition core rulebook. And they were actively soliciting feedback from the players. And the way that they had changed it up in alpha, people were not happy with.
Oh yeah,
I,
I unfortunately there was an issue with my ability to get the initial alpha, so I got the second version. But from what I heard, like the first draft was a bit contentious.
yeah, I hadn't read it in detail, but I was seeing the fallout online from it. And yeah, people did not like the change that they were making. And Free League actually took that feedback to heart. And when the beta came out, then the feedback was much more positive. And the beta is almost exactly what we got in the final product.
As spoken of before, the panic system is proprietary to the Alien RPG. in one of its main core mechanics. And that if you roll the face hugger or panic symbol on your panic die, you will get a certain result that will be a potential negative modifier.
That stress that you take stays with you until you work through prescribed mechanics in the game to relieve that stress. So once you add that stress in, you always have the possibility of panicking.
Yeah. Gives you better chances when you're rolling for stuff, but then the more you get, the more chance you have of getting that same panic or face
Right.
hugger.
It increases your odds of success, but it also adds the possibility of panicking. And the more stress you take, the higher the odds of panicking.
Now, admittedly, that can be rather punishing. And we discussed that. It can be rather punishing and can result into rather anticlimactic or humorous passings.
Yes,
Catatonic on a staircase going upstairs.
a carousel of screaming.
Yes. Yes, the endless scream loop.
Yes.
But what they've done is they've taken stress and panic, which in first edition were intrinsically linked, and they were a single system, and they have separated them out. You still take stress,
And that
and
does incur a result, but you also have a brand new thing called resolve.
right.
Yes.
And Nick, you're the one who's run it, so you're in the best position to explain how resolve's going to work.
Resolve basically is a brand new element to your character sheet. It's a brand new sort of attribute its state. Basically, you have your stress level, and you roll your d6 if you accrue a stress on a stress die, but you subtract it by your resolve, which is a combination of which is
Mental
usually
fortitude.
is connected to your wits.
Yes.
Right. So you can potentially power through that you can power through that incident and not incur a negative effect because you can potentially go negative off of the result chart.
And again, these stress responses, as they're now called, a separate table to what was once the panic roll table, have effects, but they are generally a little less intense.
Yes. And then tell me, Nick, for resolve, can resolve be depleted or go below?
Resolve, just like before, you can get to a -0 response, which will get you keeping cool.
Yeah, I'm just asking, can resolve like lower? Like, say you have a resolve of 3, can something happen to make your resolve a 2?
There are effects on when we get to panic response. There are ones that will reduce your resolve.
Yes, and that's a good point to make out. You said it's split into 2, so we have stress, and then you just mentioned panic. How does that work?
Panic is now, instead of rolling on a stress die, panic is now a tool used by the GM and sort of given their fiat to introduce. It would still be the same thing. Your stress level, which will likely increase in response to a panic response, will be still subtracted by your resolve, but the effects are, and many of them are from the previous panic table, and some are a bit more intense.
So now instead of having to roll, correct me if I'm wrong, instead of having to roll a panic just because you roll a face hugger on a stress die,
You roll now for a stress response.
right, and panicking is entirely up to the GM. The GM says, okay, now you panic.
Yes.
Yes, it is a GM tool now, and with panics, some of those effects last not just for one turn, but last for like an entire encounter, or you can resolve it, or even longer in the story until you find some way to resolve it.
So it took, when we sat down and actually played for the first time, it took a little bit of getting used to the differences. Once we actually went through it a few times, it made a lot more sense to us and was easier for us to wrap our heads around the change.
Yes.
Again,
And astute listeners who have heard Nick and I tell our origin story with playing the first edition, same thing kind of happened. Reading it, we were
was
like,
like initially when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." Then I read it again and was like, "Oh, I'm not sure how that would work in actual play."
and then we actually played it,
And it
and
worked very
everything
well.
made sense.
Yes. Though we did find, when we played, we did find one issue that they never fixed, because I remember one of the panics had some mention of it, and we are like, wait, what is that? And Nick's like, I don't have a card for that. I think that's not there anymore. I
Yeah,
forget what it was, but we were like, wait, it says if we have this, but we don't have a card for that. Is that a thing?
yeah,
They included in the bundle cards with the panic and stress effects, multiples of each, so that a player
You could
who's
just
suffering from that effect, you can hand them the card, and so it's an easy reference. I want to say that I might have gone and dug and found reference to that one effect,
yeah.
and I want to say that the effect of it is something that doesn't linger, and that might be why there wasn't a card for it.
okay. Well, that makes more
Entirely,
sense, because it really
yeah.
threw us. I remember that threw our group for a loop. We're like, wait, what?
Because
Yeah,
in terms of the material, those cards are very useful, incredibly useful, worth the purchasing of the starter game to have those, and it also comes with brand new rule reference sheets that really helped also with getting not just me as the GM, but also getting the players on board with the new mechanics.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that was definitely helpful. I'm seeing more and more game publishers are including that kind of thing in their starter sets and their GM kits, and I really like when they include that, because
It
it
definitely
really
it helps, especially for new people getting into the games. It helps on both the GM side and the player side into getting into the meat of an action, especially in a starter box.
right.
Yes. And then, of course, since this is just a 1.5, some other things have stayed the same. Like initiative is still, you take a card, you don't roll for anything, you just take a card, and that's what you do. There are still character agendas. Like in the cinematic ones, they have agendas. Of course,
Yeah.
in the
You're still
campaign
very
ones, you make one for yourself.
you're still very squishy in terms of your player characters.
Yes. You still have your signature item, like what does your character hold dear? There's money.
There's
There's still
talents.
equipment, talents. I
Honestly,
think they've increased the talents, though. There are more talents now.
there are more general talents in general,
Yes.
and some of the other ones have been sort of either made more concise or more specific.
Yes. But one thing that has changed, which I'll let Nick sponge on, is that stealth has changed. How stealth works.
Now this is
Yes.
probably the biggest selling point of, and probably the thing that they really prompted them into doing Evolved Edition from a lot of the talks that the developers did. In the original base Alien RPG, you had what was called stealth mode and your combat mode, which is basically two sets of modes: your standard storytelling, environmental stuff where you walk around, interact with the environment, and then your combat. Now, there has always been of a disconnect between those two, because in the Alien movies, there is a moment where you have like everything's fine and everyone can walk around and do stuff, and then there's the tense scenes where the alien is nearby or skulking around.
And you have no idea where it is. So you're just looking everywhere like, you're going to pop out there?
And then you have like the combat or the attack scene.
Yep.
And there was in the original there was no real sort of delineation for that and a difficulty in conveying that level of tension. Now there is a story moment and a dedicated stealth type of movement and mechanics and combat. Which it sounds a little bit why do they need to do that? But it's like it makes more sense once you actually see the gameplay loop that they're doing, especially in Rapture Protocol. It was a great experience for that.
Yeah, it was good to know that because it was like, okay, this is how it works, and it did increase the tension. Like, because you would just be like, okay, you think something may have moved over here, or you saw a shadow there, and it's like, okay, was that real, or did I imagine that?
It really helped build up the tension due to the great amount of like care that they put into in Rapture Protocol. There's a large scale map for the players to use and a small scale map for the GM to use. The small scale map is where the GM can move the alien without alerting the players.
Yes.
Yep.
And it was used to good effect, especially in the end scene.
Yes.
I just looked, jumping back just a second, and I think the panic response that we didn't have a card for was hesitant.
Yeah.
That's the one. I was thinking either hesitant or hastened.
And the effect of hesitant is you automatically get the number 10 initiative card in combat until your panic stops. If several PCs are hesitant, draw the highest value cards randomly. So that's why there's no hesitant card, because it just applies to initiative.
Yeah.
But that could be
And you-
devastating, especially if you're a heavy hitter and you go last.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I knew it was something like that. I knew if I looked at the panic table that I would remember what it was. And as soon as hesitant, that's what it was.
Speaking of initiative, Nick, I actually forgot. Were aliens like Alien Warriors in the original one able to go twice, or was that an evolved edition thing?
That was always in the original version, but since the maps were a lot more abstract and that sort of thing that's also changed, maps are a lot more defined in this edition, especially for the adventures and more intentionally. But it made more sense to allow them to factor in the movement like that.
Okay. And then
I remember it being a part of first edition because I remember having multiple, and it just like in first edition, the number of actions that an alien or an adversary like that takes is tied to its speed. It has a speed rating, and so like the xenomorph warriors have a speed of 2.
so they get to go twice.
So
the face huggers, I believe, only have a speed of 1, so they get 1.
Right. And so that is carried over, but it's a little more prominent. And Nick just kind of gave us an opening. So unless there's an element that he's dying to talk about next, let's mention the maps.
Oh, the maps deserve talking about.
They went
in
above
first
and
edition,
beyond for maps.
Well, in first edition, the maps were literally maps. They weren't they were to a smaller scale, and they were diagrams of the location.
Like
And they were
if you go
gorgeous.
into a building and they showed you each level and what was on there.
They
Right.
were
It
gorgeous,
was like a
and they
blueprint.
were
a
gorgeous
blueprint or a schematic.
and fit in universe.
Yeah, like if
It
you were
would be
going
like if
into
you
a military fort, you would see the military fort diagram.
Yeah.
Now, for Evolved Edition, they have gone more towards what within the genre of role-playing games within that are more colloquially known as battle maps. They're gridded, they're a larger scale, they're specifically designed to accommodate miniatures.
Yeah, so you can move around and be like, okay, I'm going into the stalls here. Or you can see like a vent and they actually shows you how the vent moves around. So it's like, this is the vent and this is where you would come out.
And part of that is cross-product synergy in that Free League is producing miniatures, which they didn't before.
But
Especially the
also
aliens.
connects to the change to the addition of the stealth mode.
Right.
Yes.
Because having those larger, more detailed maps does make it so that the rooms feel more distinct. And just as you mentioned, Robert, the vent systems are like clearly delineated, and it's meant for you to have your own smaller version of the map where you can move the alien so that you can have that moment like in the original Alien where Dallas is in the vents and then you hear the motion tracker and it's right on him.
Yeah, and it's for the maps. It's not just miniatures, because I also remember, Nick, you had tokens that you could put down. It's like, okay, you try to go through this door, but it's locked,
Yes.
and you'd give a token that actually shows it's locked unless you can fix it. You cannot go through there.
Sadly, there's no longer an opportunity for cross-company synergy because Gale Force 9 games had the license for an Aliens tabletop miniatures game called Aliens Another Glorious Day in the Core that had some wonderful minis of Marines and aliens. And right before Rapture Protocol right before Evolved Edition hit shelves, Gale Force 9 announced that they lost the license and Another Glorious Day in the Core was going out of print. And I very hurriedly jumped on Amazon and bought the one remaining expansion for that game that I didn't have.
Do look for those. They are similar size, but they are of a different type of miniature quality. You have to have there's your traditional building miniatures. This is also a good way to segue into the fact that yes, Free League is now producing miniatures for the Alien RPG.
And they're
And the
good
first
looking.
set is the Rapture Protocol set. Everything you need to run the Rapture Protocol scenario.
Yeah, from
and
the
they
ship
are
to the actual base.
and they are good quality miniatures. They're form printed, so there's no gluing, no bits, no fiddly things. You can paint them right out of the box. They're already just you usually use a primer, but like they're good quality. So I've seen even people paint them out of the box.
I'm looking forward to seeing what else they put out in the miniatures line. In the meantime, I need to get my 3D printer churning some more.
Mm-hmm.
There are some great third-party miniature file makers out there. The one that I know most that does a lot of wonderful alien-related ones. Shout out to Papsicles. I subscribe to his Patreon, and so I get a ton of minis from
We
him
know. We
every
know.
month.
We know
Oh,
so much.
But it's
oh,
like
I am so far behind on sorting all of my mini files from all of the Patreons that I support that it's not even funny.
But as someone
I can believe that. Mhm.
who does like miniatures, a abnormal amount.
You know. It's
But
not
I
like
will
you
say
have an
that
entire boxes of them.
just of alien miniatures.
Just of Alien. A lot of Star Wars too, but yeah, a good decent number of
Yep.
aliens.
Yeah, I'd say it's between those two. It's like definitely more Star Wars, but definitely like aliens have a significant
That's just
part.
good. That's just Star Wars had a head start.
But
This
it's
is
like,
true.
but I will say that as if your table's very visual inclined, they'll very much like seeing the miniatures on there, moving them around. They're scaled to the maps, and again, the maps are of high quality.
Same with the characters. You can
Wait.
tell which one's your character. Mine had a
Now,
trucker hat.
We will come back to the maps when we start talking about Hope's Last Day, though.
And Rapture Protocol, which we can go in either order.
Go ahead with Rapture Protocol, because my overall impression of Rapture Protocol was more positive than my overall impression of the update to Hope's Last Day. Spoiler alert.
Rapture Protocol is their first brand new full cinematic adventure and part one of their Jeremiah saga.
And it was fun, and I believe, Nick, that you said it can be played a myriad of different ways.
Oh, yes. Just like all the other previously done cinematics, there are myriads of ways to finish and complete the adventure. And there's plenty of ways that you could just lose and die, all of you.
All but one in our case.
Yeah.
We had our last final girl moment.
Yep, we
But it's
did.
like there, but it's like just like all of them. It's you. Everyone has their own agendas. It's working against each other. Everyone's working on a similar task. There's some surprises, new characters, and there's a whole lot of things going on.
And I don't know how, but in our playing of Rapture Protocol, my drunk character made it almost to the end. He was the second to last person.
I was the captain, and I wanted everybody else to do all the work.
My character's first two agendas was get alcohol. Just find alcohol.
And again, the fun of that is like playing into those agendas as well as dealing with the active situation on board. And again, no spoilers going to be given here, but it's a fun ride. We did it in 2 days, but that's because we wanted to really get in depth into the characters and into it. It can probably be accomplished in maybe a good solid 6 hours if you wanted to just be quick and
Yeah, if you just want to boom, boom, boom it. And like we said, we didn't even actually explore the entire map in our playthrough.
We just wanted to really dive into the new mechanics and the new these characters, and we had a great fun sort of just vamping and playing with that.
Yes, and we also had, of course, with every Evolved Edition or New Edition, there's of course always expansions on equipment, gear, vehicles, weapons, all that stuff.
I remember that as soon as it was announced, Nick and I were incredibly excited that Evolved Edition was going to include gear from Alien Romulus.
Yep. You guys wanted your smart gun.
Yeah.
Yep. And interestingly enough,
the stats that a lot of people were coming up with stats in the like immediate aftermath of Romulus in the Discord and Reddit, and even you came up with one as well yourself, Daryl.
No, I pulled from the Discord, I think.
Either way, startlingly close.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they did the whole thing. They're like weapons, the alien pod thing, the
Mhm.
warriors, the offspring even.
I have plenty of ideas for creating some tools, pulling the information from the books, just to make my life easier as a GM when I'm running.
And that's
Evolved Edition.
again another great thing about it is like since so much of it was like community driven and all that, it does help with like you can see where the developers came with the ideas, which does give you some ideas on how to introduce future or new content in there.
Yep. And Nick, you and I need to sit down and figure out when we want to work on our Alien Earth homebrew book.
Yep.
Yep. There's some ideas there.
Yes, because a certain someone really wants to set out and use the eyeball.
Everyone wants to use the eyeball.
I was watching a Patrick Willems video last night, and in answering one of the viewer questions, he got to talking about Alien Earth, and even Patrick Willems, who thought Alien Earth was fine, said the eyeball is the star of the show.
I mean, it really was. Like whenever it shows up, it's like that thing's gonna do something, and it's gonna be really fucked up.
But by the way, just an aside here, when we started talking about my miniature 3D print files, I right-clicked on the folder that all of those files are in to see how large that folder is. It's still calculating the size. It's at 648 gig and it's still
Ooh.
counting the size.
Oh, speaking of Alien Earth, that is, I believe, one difference in Evolved Edition, because you can now not just be a human or an android, but I believe you can also be a cyborg.
They've mentioned the cyborgs, but they have not come up with the stats.
Haven't said them
But they have
Okay.
talked about that might be something they'll be adding. They have streamlined and made it easier for you to find where the information to be a android is, which is more just a formatting thing in the book. The initial book, while very gorgeous, had some formatting trickiness. You could only find the android stuff in the combat section, not in the character building section.
Oh, yeah, that is a weird place to put it, but as long as it's in there, I've known
It's in
some
there.
versions that are like, oh, that I forgot to put it at the end there.
It's just
Okay,
like
if
things are in a lot better locations that are easy, make it easier for both player and GM. They're like, okay, it should be in this zone.
I think we talked about in our adapting new media to your game episode, we talked about ideas for making a cyborg.
Yeah.
All right. And
Okay,
then,
it stopped counting 684 gig, size on disk 703 gig. Intervention.
I'd say get some RAM, but
you just need to get one of those. You just need to get one of those terabyte backup
Oh,
blocks.
it's on a 2 terabyte network drive.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's good, at least.
Yeah, that was my entire network drive. I was running out of space, so I got a new main network drive, and the 2 terabyte network drive is now reserved for my miniature files. Fun little aside, I have a whole Star Wars naming convention for all of the computers and drives and everything on our home network. And now that it's all for 3D printing, that one's called Camino.
That's nice. Bravo.
Just don't get blown up like the real one.
The main network drive is Holocron. Our network is the HoloNet, and this is Camino.
So which Geonosis is going to be?
I don't know.
Still with droid factories, but
Yeah.
so another good expanse of the book is that, as someone who likes lore, they've definitely expanded more on the lore of the alien universe, like the factions, even that cult, I forget the name of, but they expanded on that, just the universe in general, how it's all spread out and everything.
And just like the previous edition, it says if you're looking for inspiration, it lists out the old Dark Horse comic books, the new Marvel-based comic books, the myriad of novels that have coming out, and other supplemental materials. That all sort of helped inspire a great deal of what they're working with.
Yes. And then I haven't run it, nor will I think to run it. I don't think I could run an Aliens game good, but I'll ask both you and Daryl, Nick, has there been any big change on the GM side on actually running an Alien campaign that they've put on?
Actually, no, not at all. Like, I'd say that one of the few things that it didn't touch on any further is entirely just they didn't touch really is the GM side. There is a new element to character creation.
Do you feel that them not touching on how a GM would run it was a good thing or a bad thing not to
I feel
change?
it's a good thing. Campaign is still very ambiguous, but that's fine because there's the campaign supplements really dive into those different flavors. They're going to be releasing those as well later on, of which there were only 2 in the first edition, but there's supposed to be one for every career.
The long announced but never released Space Truckers campaign guide will undoubtedly will be in Evolved Edition.
And they've already confirmed. And then, as part of the Kickstarter, one of the earliest stretch goals was PDFs for those who backed it for the inevitable evolved editions of the 2 books, the Colonial Marines Guide and Building Better Worlds.
Good, because I want my statted out trucker hat.
Do you hear that, Free League? We need stats for a trucker hat in the Space Truckers.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you're gonna make a supplemental called Space Truckers, you better have a statted out trucker hat.
Mhm. The only other addition I think to GMing is that they've added a couple more tables to assist in job creation or mission creation.
I, as a GM, when players come up against an alien or whatever, I'm still gonna steal that trick from our friend Brev, who first ran it for us
Oh, that's what we
at
still
Gamer
use.
Nation Con, and I will never touch a die.
Yeah, you'll just be like, "Hey Nick, roll for the alien."
Yeah.
What's it gonna do?
Not even that. It's just, Nick, roll me a d6.
Yes.
Honestly, it's way more fun than that. And then it's like, okay, now roll me 10 more of those.
Yeah, and for
Yeah,
someone who rolls high on dice rolls, no one, even myself, never likes to be rolling an attack for an alien because I'm like, I'm just gonna get a 6, which is an immediate kill if it hits.
Yeah.
And it's like that's another thing that wasn't changed. The alien signature attacks are still, yep, you're gonna wish that you could that they you're gonna be praying
Yeah.
for low rolls.
And that makes sense. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So
I don't know that they necessarily intended for GMs to have the players roll for that, but that
It's
is
just kind of fun.
it works.
Sort of-
it's a fun and elegant trick that Brev did, given how the enemies work in the game.
Yeah.
You don't have to strategize for them. They're animals, so what they do is based on just a 6-option table.
Yeah, and it's so overbalanced in the alien's favor, depending on what you're running, either Marines or just normal people. That'd be like, I don't really have to plan out because, like you said, they're animals, so they'll just do what they do.
But it's like almost like that just makes it even more disconcerting when you just roll for like it hisses at you and leaves.
Yeah, that's the fun one. It's like you're on the ground completely defensive, just goes.
And you're like,
So it's like a cat.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. There's a lot of
and
But,
Alien Earth kind of showed that. So
yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot of good. There's a lot of great parts to this.
yes, but I think it's
So-
now time that Daryl needs to talk about Hope's Last Day.
And I know that you have more to say than I do, but I think it's mainly because we probably would be just stepping over each other's words. So I'll let you take the lead.
All right.
But
So, Hope's Last Day began as a one-shot in the first edition core rulebook. And it was a lean, efficient introduction game. And it is probably one of the most fun one-shots that I have ever played in my life. In first edition, it has a nice mix of structure and free form, because there are a few places where there are specific events that happen, but the rest of it, you have an entire map of the colony. It's the colony that they visit in Aliens that they've lost contact with. And this adventure, this one shot, takes place between the time that Newt's father comes back to the colony with the face hugger on his face and when the Marines arrive in Aliens.
So, like,
It's very
have
much-
you ever seen the audio drama on Audible? It's basically that.
yeah,
It's a great introductory game. You can generally play it in about 4 hours.
it could be longer. It depends on how, again, like sort of
Yeah.
like how we said that, like if you really have a group of role players that really want to get into the nitty gritty and really explore Hadley's Hope, you
And-
can just explore Hadley's Hope for about a good 6 hours.
And for good reason, it was very popular among the player base as a great one shot and a great introductory game.
And we were all excited with on Kickstarter
And what
Not
did they do?
not only
Well,
not only well not only did they say that like Hope's Last Day is coming back, it's a full box set of cinematic adventure.
it is going to be the new starter box. It's the new starter game. And we're going to expand it to be a full starter box.
And that all that's like, yes, great, awesome.
Gimme, grabby hands. Gimme.
There you
Honestly,
go.
I think that was like how we were. That honestly was like when I was like, oh, I need to get the bundle because obviously I want all of that.
A lot of the elements that made Hope's Last Day good were indeed carried over. It's the same pre-gen characters that you play. In the first edition core rulebook version, each of the pre-gen characters only had a single agenda. For Evolved Edition, since they expanded it out to a full box set, it's given a full 3-act structure. So they expanded those agendas out into 3 agendas, one for each act. So that's
Which,
fine.
which again,
That's fine.
as we said, like in the initial, you could have you could have taken it as long as you wanted with the original one. So expanding it out to 3 acts, that makes sense.
Now, here's where, and don't get me wrong, it is still a good game.
It is.
But sorry, everyone, sorry, Free League. I find the Evolved Edition version of Hope's Last Day inferior to the first edition version. In part because part of the big problem stems from the overall positive change in the maps.
Yes.
By going to maps that are of a scale to work with miniatures rather than the blueprint style, we don't get the whole colony. And so a lot of the locations that were potential story point ideas in the first one don't exist.
It
In fact,
basically cut the actual play experience nearly in half.
Which I guess for good reason, because if they had made an entire map of the colony, it would be probably huge.
Oh, it would have been. It would have been massive if they did it to the scale that they wanted to make.
It would have been about 4 of the maps that come in the box.
And these are full colored maps, and so
full colored gridded maps, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the book itself walls off those lost areas of the colony by saying that they're cut off. You can't get to them. And so, yes, it expands. I'm trying to figure out the best way to put it. It expands the scope of the one shot by expanding it to 3 acts and emphasizing more of the things that the system can do, but it severely cuts back the scale of it. And there are fewer places for you to go, so you're more confined. And so with that larger scope, as the GM, you have less to do with it.
Which is what I was noticing when I was running it. Like, I didn't initially intend to run it the day we ran it, but I was assuming it's Hope's Last Day. It's like, I know this thing, and it's like, then I just quickly realized, wait, where's the rest of it?
Yeah, like for instance, I remember specifically one of the locations that is eliminated is the one that led to one of our glory stories.
Yeah.
Which is the garage isn't there.
You can't get to it.
You can't get to the garage, so you can't get an APC to try to get to the landing pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like,
it just
again, like, I understand why they did what they did.
I understand it.
And I can see if I had read through, again, I'll also put slightly on me because I did not read ahead, and we did that as an ad hoc. We didn't have enough people to do what we wanted to do that day. But I will also agree that The other one, despite didn't need didn't the evolved edition rules are presented well. I'll also say there's also probably a bit of nostalgia blinders is kind of on us because it was our first experience with the game. We had a great time with it, but also it's like there's a lot less freedom. The characters have more depth, but the environment, which is itself a character, especially in a lot of these cinematic adventures, especially
Yep.
Hadley's Hope, it's iconic to the franchise. Not getting to explore that kind of hurts the whole overall experience.
So what I am wondering, and the fan community for this game is incredible.
Oh, it is, yeah.
I wonder if anyone out there has done homebrew maps for the rest of the colony.
And it wouldn't be that difficult. There's tons of supplemental material that are maps of Hadley's Hope. There's plenty of them out there. There's official blueprints been released in several books.
Yeah.
Everyone knows someone could mock up in a similar style the scalable maps of those locations.
I would drop the money to go to Office Depot and print those maps if someone did it.
Because I'm sure someone can. It honestly wouldn't be that difficult.
And now, after we're done, I'm going to have to go prowling the fan community to see if anyone has done so.
Probably the same. Like I know some map makers out there that have done some stuff for aliens. I could at least see if they've posted anything about that.
That's my personal take on it. I was excited that they were going to expand it out to be a full-fledged 3-act adventure.
And I like the additions. The characters have a bit more depth to them.
Yeah, but the way that they went about it, I was disappointed.
Even though it didn't meet our expectations, definitely get the starter box. It has incredibly useful tools like the initiative cards for weapons and equipment, and the panic responses. The maps are still incredibly good and can be used as placeholders for other locations.
I still, when we did our Alien game at Gamer Nation Con last year, and I made the expanded initiative cards to go up to 24 or 25 to double, or 20 to 25, somewhere in there. I at least doubled because we had 2 tables worth of characters that we brought together. I still wish that they had gone beyond 10.
Yeah, especially
In
if
the Evolved
aliens
Edition?
can get times 2 or
Yeah,
2 initiative slots, kind of limits the scope of what you can do.
but again,
Yep, so-
I can see where that makes sense. Combat's meant to be quick, not long.
Yeah, but it can still be quick and involve needing more than 10 initiative
Yeah.
slots. If you have a party of, they average 5 pre-gens when they create pre-gens for a box set or an
Mhm.
adventure. So there's half of your initiative slots right there. And if you have an extra PC in there, there's 6 out of 10. Granted, if you have more than 2 aliens, they might be in trouble anyway. But if you have more than 2 aliens, you don't have enough initiative cards.
Yeah.
And the only solution there is to split the party, but, well, then one party has to handle all of its things before the other one. So that's where it can be handy if the party splits, if you have another GM in the group and they happen to think to bring their cards every time.
Yeah.
Then you have 2 sets of initiative cards.
I mean, it's pretty easy with you. You bring your own dice as well because you just won't touch Nick's cursed ones.
It's part of not touching dice that have been tainted with Nick's curse, and part I'm lazy and I don't want to have to lean forward. If I can stay in my spot where I'm at with my feet up and roll my dice, I'm gonna.
Except there are days that you're just like, come Come on. Or you're going to jail.
You're in jail. You're in jail. You're in jail.
Yeah.
And it's really bad when you're playing a game with D20s and all of your D20s are in jail. I've
Yep.
punished all of my D20s before. Overall, what are your thoughts on the Evolved Edition, Nick?
In my opinion, it's just what the system needed. I feel it's not, and I think that I'd rather them have done this than go through the entirety of the careers before making this change. They heard the
Yeah.
community talking about like the stealth system. They brought in the like the mental phobias and stuff for campaign play. The new equipment is good. The change up in the layout of the book, the change up to stress and panic are great. All of these were like
Oh,
they needed to put those together now rather than later and then redo the whole thing.
quick question here. Speaking of the layout of the books, Nick, both First Edition and Evolved Edition are gorgeous.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
First Edition was white text on black. Evolved Edition is black text on white. How much of that do you think? Because we've mentioned that there's a strong fan community that makes fan created content. How much do you think was making it easier for fan content to look good and not necessarily identical to official product, but to, for the fans that wanted to make their homebrew look a little more seamless? How much do you think that change was to make stuff more printer friendly?
I have we may never know, but I have a strong feeling that was at least a deciding factor.
Yes. And based for myself, I think that's why it shows that Evolved Edition is a good improvement, but it's also a good reflection that the publisher is listening to the fans, trying to make the game more fun for fans in general. They're receptive to criticism and changing it to what we say would make it better. So I think of it as a good response to the fans as well.
Like if Alien, and again, like love the franchise, love the original edition, and it will always have like a place in my heart as like a great RPG. This is just now an extra tier on top of that. It's like
Yeah.
Yes, because we've known publishers that will be like, okay, I see what you're saying, but no. This is a good example of a publisher be like, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, we'll do it like this.
Again, that's why it's definitely not a second edition. And it's like the only way I call it a second edition is like there's a major change to like how certain mechanics are implemented, or like an entire revamp of like certain core things. More was added, but everything that worked still works, and what wasn't working ideally was tweaked, not removed or changed.
So, Robert, what you're saying is Free League does not operate the way a sorcerer on the shoreline operates.
No, because I feel they have less of the bro of has in them.
Yes, we can agree on that. This is definitely, if the first book was definitely a love letter to the franchise, this is a thank you letter to us
To the
who
player
love the
base.
game.
They
To
at
the
least
player
have
base.
they at least have a better naming convention. It's not just Alien 2025 edition.
True. Who would do that?
Someone who just doesn't want to say this is the edition incremented by 1.
a sorcerer on the shoreline.
And again, like it even worked in the like evolution is a big part of it, so it's an evolved edition.
Yes.
It has some creativity going for it.
Yep, it very well does.
But you know what could make it better? We all know that in Alien Edition, you can play a cat. I want to play a squirrel.
Squirrel.
I'm pretty sure that those are probably extinct in this universe.
Hey, with all the stuff you know what did on Alien Earth, I have a feeling they would bring back a...
Squirrel.
Or maybe there's an alien squirrel.
Oh, I need. So, speaking of all of those minis, Papsicles occasionally does fun little, like, goofy Xenos. Like, he did a gremlin Xenomorph a couple of months ago. I need to look and see if he's done one that's a Xeno.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
And if it's not, if he hasn't, I need to suggest it to him.
I'm sure he's got a busy schedule.
When I
Yeah.
explain why I would like him to do it, he would probably do it and make it one of his Cyber Elite reward bonus models for the month. And I would print it out and I would run a session. And
Squirrel.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, has that big loud squirrel on your roof left any more dead bodies for you lately? Or is that the one that left you the Valentine?
Yes. For those of you who don't know, one session we were playing, we just kept hearing chittering, and Nick was scared that it was in his house.
I mean,
But no, it was just a really big squirrel outside just talking.
Like it was, we all, even you thought it was like Robin was trying to play a prank on me.
But it was even worse when we were playing, and then it sounded like it was being choked to death.
Well, we heard it fighting with something, and then we heard a
screaming bloody murder.
And I did find another squirrel like at the bottom of where it was, so I think it killed that one.
Squirrel.
See it. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why they were fighting, but apparently that one won.
Don't you get it, Nick? It's a yandere squirrel. It wants to be your one and only.
No. You can stay outside.
And now Nick will be awake all night.
So I think that's good. That's some good terrorizing right there.
Yep, we have terrorized Nick. We have bullied him, and he will be sitting up late at night, wondering if every sound that he hears is a
squirrel.
I have the goose of bumps on my back of my neck now.
So we have reached the point of the show where I say, check out our website at howwerollgaming.com, and there on the site you'll find information about our current campaigns, podcast archive, and links to our merch store and all of our social media.
Squirrel.
Yes, and you can also directly support the show through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/howwerollgaming, and you'll see our different membership tiers starting at just $2 a month, with special recognition on the Discord server, and higher tiers giving you on-air credit and discounts on our merch store.
Finally, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even submit your own RPG glory story, shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming.com.
Squirrel.
We want to thank everybody for listening, and we hope that you will join us next time. Until then, as always, I'm Daryl.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Robert.
Squirrel.
And this is How We Roll.